Men in black are the identically dressed, very official-looking men who visit UFO witnesses or abductees to warn them not to talk or share evidence of their encounter. Usually wearing dark business suits, white shirts, a black tie, and often a formal-looking gentleman's hat, their speech, bodily proportions, and movements have sometimes been described as odd, perhaps unearthly. The following are 3 more recent accounts of these strange men in black encounters. Liam Freeny, 2013. Liam Freeny, who was a builder by trade, had been indifferent to the subject of UFOs until March 18th in 2013, when he and a workmate observed several strange lights in the skies over Kiama in New South Wales, Australia. A huge white object in the sky seemed to be spitting out bright lights, which floated around it, then came together in a diamond shape which lit up. The bizarre spectacle was followed by the appearance of an F-18 Super Hornet fighter jet which intercepted the objects and all disappeared. A few months later, the UFOs began to appear on a regular basis, which inspired the father of 2 to purchase a video camera. He started to record some footage of the strange-shaped objects hovering over Kiama, trying to determine the nature of the bizarre phenomena. They could dramatically vanish, then reappear, then shoot across the sky to become a pinprick, and then advance back in front of him at incredible speed. Freeny wondered if perhaps he had recorded something he shouldn't have, when more inexplicable things started happening after he was filming. On returning home, a black helicopter would appear and sit over his house, hovering at the height of a lamppost and with personnel leaning out of the window, so definitely not military trained. This happened 20 or 30 times. UFO researchers he contacted said they had had other reports of black helicopters flying over homes, also with people leaning out of the window and filming. This unnerving surveillance culminated 2 weeks before Liam was due to talk about his experiences at a meeting of a local UFO group. He had been out driving close to home when a large black Holden Statesman tailed him and pulled him over to the side of the road. He noticed it had flashing lights behind the front grille and a Canberra number plate. 2 men in black suits exited and approached his front window. The strangers addressed him by name and warned him that it would be best if he didn't give his talk. Although Freeny did cancel his speech at that time, he has since spoken out about what he's observed, believing he should pass on the message about what is happening and that it's real. If you're enjoying this video, don't forget to hit like. It really helps to keep the channel growing. And if you're new here, subscribe and tap the bell icon so you never miss our latest videos. We've got lots of strange and fascinating stories coming up, and we'd love to have you along for the journey. Tyler, an anonymous online contributor, so not his real name, started his Men in Black account by saying that he wishes he was lying. His strange encounter took place in Brooklyn in early 2021 when he was aged around 16. Where he lived, there were parking lots behind a group of apartment buildings extending the length of the block. The lots had dumpsters for garbage disposal, but no one was able to park there as the gate for cars was permanently broken. Only the small entrances were accessible. After school, Tyler and a friend would often play games in the lot, often playing until it got dark. On this occasion, it became dark and they kept playing until around 8 or 9 p.m, when he and his friend stopped and looked up into the sky because something had caught their eye. In the dark sky, they saw flashes of orange lightning forming strange shapes, almost like a form of writing. Strangely, there was no thunder, just lightning. Before the 2 boys could even collect their thoughts, they heard footsteps approaching. At one of the small entrances, they saw 3 men walking in their direction. 2 of the men looked very fit, like bodybuilders in their prime. They were quite tall, Caucasian, and wore tight compression shirts and military-style pants and boots. They had buzz cuts and badges around their necks, but Tyler says didn't look like cops or FBI, and it was too dark to read their badges. The third man, also Caucasian, stood further back and was a bit shorter and heavier. He wore a hoodie, shorts and high-top sneakers. He also had the same badge around his neck, but had a bowl cut and beard, while the other two were clean-shaven. He didn't speak a single word during the whole encounter and carried a small laptop that he was typing on constantly. As the three men quickly approached Tyler and his friend, the boys noticed that all three of them were also looking at the sky. Once they were a couple of feet away, they finally looked down and started speaking. The men never stated their names or agencies and wore regular-looking pistols. They stated that they just wanted to ask the boys some questions. Tyler and his friend were a little hesitant, considering that they were two black kids out at night in New York City and three people looking like armed law enforcement had just approached them. Again looking up at the sky, one of the men asked if they'd seen anything weird going on back here. The boys felt like something was up and refrained from looking up in the sky as the men were, instead just answering their questions. Both stated that they had seen nothing strange really. At this point, the men paused, stared down, then picked up their previous question where they listed off some bad activities like anyone doing drugs. One again asked if they had seen anything strange in the back lot, which both boys heavily dismissed. The third man with the laptop was also looking intently at them at this point. Tyler assumes that the men believed them, after which they suggested that it wasn't safe for them to be out there at night and that they should get home. The boys agreed to leave and started walking out the back lot. Of course, once they reached the front of the apartment buildings, their curiosity got the better of them. They decided to go back just to be nosy, as things just didn't feel right. Bizarrely, upon going back, which was literally in the span of 10 to 15 seconds, all three men were gone, as if they had vanished into thin air. The boys were in disbelief, as they knew every entrance and exit to the back lot, being there every day. They ran the entire length of the lot and checked the sidewalk, but the men were nowhere to be found. There was no vehicle and no men. Tyler and his friend still talk about the strange occurrence often. Just as strangely, the shapes made by the lightning still feel imprinted in his mind. Dan Aykroyd, 2002. Canadian actor Dan Aykroyd has a wide knowledge of the UFO phenomenon, having met many of the researchers and witnesses. He also claims to have seen 4 of the craft, however is also very discerning about what he believes and accepts as the truth. He has spoken about what was his own Men in Black experience. In 2002, Aykroyd was working on a UFO-themed TV show called Out There for the Sci-Fi Network. This involved interviewing witnesses, researchers, military investigators, and even intelligence officers with knowledge of government cover-ups. Aykroyd had already filmed 26 episodes of the planned series, and on that particular day was scheduled to conduct 2 interviews for the show. In the course of the day, Aykroyd stepped outside the studio to take a phone call and cigarette break. He related that he was chatting on the phone when he noticed a black Ford sedan which suddenly appeared, seemingly out of nowhere, across the street. Strangely, the car's number plate was fuzzy, although he believed it to be a police car. Aykroyd described that 2 tall men wearing black clothing and sunglasses got out of the car and looked straight at him, standing there emotionless and, in his words, not acting like human beings. Somewhat chillingly, the men seemed to be giving him what he perceived as a dirty look. When Aykroyd briefly turned away to light his cigarette, then turned back, he was shocked to see that both the men and the car had completely vanished. He had not heard the car's engine, and there was no car in the distance to indicate its retreat. About 2 hours after this strange sighting, Aykroyd received a call from the show's producers telling him that the network had abruptly cancelled the program, that they were not to continue taping and none of the episodes already filmed would air. Perhaps the interviews strayed a bit too close to disclosure, as to this day the show's content remains locked away. This incident points to the reach of the Men in Black, potentially extending into mainstream media and entertainment.